Hello YouTube, I'm Vince White. I'm an employment attorney. On this channel, we answer publicly posted questions from YouTube users, getting folks the answers they need from an employment attorney. We have a question here from YouTube user, maybe not really. Super weird thing that goes on, if you're interested in how the videos get made. People, when they post questions, like I routinely get, I believe, emailed their actual name, which is like not great, not what I want, because I don't want people's actual names attached to the questions. And then I'll look at the channel and there'll be a username, not their real name. And I like that. That's great. But I don't even really want to know their real name because I don't, you know what I mean? Like I want there to just be layers of anonymity going on here for people's protection. So Google, get your shit together. YouTube, pull your shit together. All right. Maybe Not Really asked us about 5 days ago. Your channel is fire. Thank you. Thank you very much. I have a claim against my former employer for discrimination. They submitted their position statement where they wrote many untruths and made such broad statements that it made me laugh out loud. Yeah, lies are opportunities. That's amazing. They also failed to even acknowledge the fact that I submitted a grievance to their internal title office. I assume potentially when Maybe Not Really says title office, they might mean Title VII office. I'm not sure specifically what title office they're referring to, but that's cool that there's an internal complaint. If that internal complaint was about discrimination or sexual harassment in the workplace, then it's protected activity, and that adds a retaliation claim. I turned in my rebuttal, including the receipt from my grievance submission. The EEOC investigator came back to me about 2 months later with questions. I answered those questions. That might have been a fact-finding conference, just to give you all context, or it could have just been an informal call. Total time since termination to this point is 1 year with some change. I just noticed something really interesting. My former employer put back up my biography page on their website with my old email address and my old title. Why this is interesting is because they removed it after my termination. At some point during the EEOC investigation, they have restored it. It's on their server, so it is not a fluke. Am I imagining it, or is this an interesting development in my case? Okay, so listen. It could be, right? Like, it definitely could be. I'm going to tell a story about that. But let's not ignore the fact that, like, somebody in IT, HR, marketing, whoever's doing this website biography stuff could just be an idiot. That, like, Occam's razor, when applied, simple stance is probably the answer, could be someone's a moron. Statistically speaking, a lot of morons in the world could be that, right? However, I think it could be interesting in terms of a development in your case, and I'll tell you why. This happens a lot. You bring a case, you fight it out, the employer finally goes and hires experienced defense counsel. I have a cat at my door meowing to get in. So the employer goes and hires experienced defense counsel finally, and experienced defense counsel is like, what are you doing? Why are you so stupid? Like, why have you gotten us into the situation? Why didn't you hire me earlier? This is going to be painful for you. Like, you've been stupid, employer. So the employer looks at defense counsel and is like, well, can you fix it? And sometimes defense counsel says, are you sure you fired her? Or him? And the employer's like, well, we did have security escort that person out of the building after an exit interview. But employment defense counsel might be like, well, did you use the phrase terminated? Did you paper the termination? Was there a termination letter sent? Do we know that that person was not just escorted out as part of a suspension or part of a leave of absence? How do we know it was a termination? Because if it wasn't a termination, this case would be worth maybe 10, 20% what it's worth right now, if it is a termination. And boy, would I have earned that fat retainer you paid me as defense counsel, right? And so you'll get funny instances where an employer who has had an exit interview and a conversation about ending employment and literally had security escort someone off the premises while taking their laptop and company, whatever stuff they have, company car, whatever it is, they'll be like, oh yeah, we didn't fire that person. Tell me more. Let's hear where you go with this one. And like, yeah, we didn't fire that person. It was a leave of absence. Listen, things were getting tense. We wanted to work on the relationship. We were upset when we got the EEOC because we, just put that person out of leave of absence so we can work everything out. And then they went ahead and sued us, and we were bummed about that. But we figured leave them on a leave of absence. We work out the litigation because we don't want to fire a person during litigation because that would be retaliation, and we would never do that, right? And you're just like, yeah, you think you're gonna sell this one to the jury's gonna buy this? This is where we're going with this? You're like, prove us wrong. Prove that we terminated the person. Okay. This happens multiple times a year, right? Like, companies will shut down people. It happens actually even more now in the world of remote work because people will be home and the employer will just shut off their access. And they'll get an email like, stop working, and then no more communication, right? And that's it. 6 months later, we're in a case, and the employer's like, whoa, we never fired anybody. Come on, we're not that kind of company, right? Like, yeah, you just stop paying them and shut down their access for 6 months? Yeah, unpaid leave. It's an interesting tactic you're taking there. Has it worked for you in the past? Like, what led you to believe this is going to, right? It's not just plaintiffs who make crazy arguments. Like, you see some pretty wild arguments out of plaintiffs. I know I joke about it, like, because it's like the word salad where they just like, well, because of the Yorker whales. The Yorker whales in the Atlantic are sinking boats. So clearly, I am the victim of discrimination. It sounds like I'm making fun of plaintiffs. I'm not. I'm actually just recounting, like, the kind of conversation you have with people. They're like, well, clearly I've proven my case. I'm like, what do you think you need to prove? By the same token, employers come up with the dumbest offenses I've ever heard. And the problem is, the difference is that employers have a higher chance of being represented than plaintiffs, right? There's significantly more plaintiffs running around pro se representing themselves without the assistance of an attorney than there are employers, because the employers tend to have more resources and more to lose. Whereas plaintiffs are often just like, I don't want to pay somebody a percentage. No way, I can do this myself. And they do. And then they make word salad arguments that don't make any sense because they never looked up the elements of what they need to prove, and it is what it is, right? I'm not even saying those people don't have claims. I suspect most of those people do have claims. They just didn't bother to learn what they needed to prove their claim, right? The elements of their claim that must be proven in order to prevail, right? But employers, sometimes they'll override their attorneys. Sometimes they'll hire like Charlie from down the block who's going to be their attorney for the employment case, even though Charlie's like a general practice attorney or just a corporate attorney or just somebody's brother-in-law, right? And Charlie's like, yeah, we never fired that guy. Yeah. And it's just like, what? Really? This is the way you're going with? So maybe not really. YouTube user, maybe not really. I don't know if that's what you're experiencing. I can't say from far away, but it could be. It really could be. They're like, yeah, we never fired that person. Yeah. Right? Or it could just be IT's dumb. HR's is dumb, right? I mean, that happens too. In any case, comment down below and tell us what happens. I'm curious. I'd love to know. Obviously, no identifying characteristics, but if you can give us the follow-up, that would be amazing. Speaking of commenting down below, like, subscribe, comment. It helps us to help more people just like you. And remember, almost everybody works. Not everybody wins. Be smart out there.